Okay, kids, we are going to go take some pictures around the Grand Canyon National Park today. We're going to try out the new 150-600 Sigma Sport lens. That should be fun. The camera is tilting a little bit to the right. I'm not going to worry about it. I need to use the tripod with this camera. It is just very unstable to hold because the viewfinder is for pictures and the small screen on the back face is for video. So you don't hold it up to your face, which helps stabilize the camera. You have to hold it out with your hands away from you to see what is going on. And then I need a pair of these to really see well with that small screen. And it's just not conducive to good videography unless you use a tripod. Okay, so let's get hopping here. You can see my campsite. Got the truck is over here. And if you look closely, you can probably see something from an upcoming video that is going to be a topic. So here we go. We have snow on the ground. It's, I don't know, I think it's in its 40s right now, but it's going to get down into the teens again tonight. Got the truck is up on ramps. I think you're going to leave the ramps there and put a chair down just to say the space is occupied, and I do have a ticket on the window, and that should be good enough. Okay, let's get hopping. We're going to be looking at the canyon through two lenses. I have a Canon 2470 f 2.8 lens, and that's what I'm using right now. You see that I am adjusting the exposure settings on the camera, trying to get what I think is the optimized view. When you use the program settings, you get what the camera averages out as a good setting, and usually it is good, but you can also go to a manual mode and tweak the exposure, and sometimes you want a little more exposure and sometimes you want a little less exposure, depending on what it is you're trying to look at and how you want the shading and contrast to appear. Okay, so we are still using the 28 or 2470 lens, and we are just looking at the Grand Canyon, and it is a big canyon. Looking at the bush there and these rocks right in front of me. And then we're going to swing on around. Excuse me, it's been a very long day. I got up at 5 this morning. So we are swinging around, and I am slightly adjusting the exposure for the distant rock formations. They have a little different of a light setting. Okay, now this here is the 600 millimeter, and we're looking at a trail down there. Now, if you look closely here, you will see a horse in the trail to the right, starting right... Here, horse. Here, horse. Come on, horse. Where is it? Okay, we'll come back to the horse in a minute. But this is 600 millimeters, and I guess maybe the horse isn't in this clip. Maybe it's in the next one. But what I am doing is I am slowly panning up the cliffs on the other side of the canyon. There is the Kaibab Plateau, I think they call it. So we're going to keep going up and up and up, and I am just amazed at the sharpness and detail that this Sigma 150-600 Sport lens provides. It is just really a nice lens. And then I have the exposure setting just where I want it to kind of bring out the colors a little bit better than a program mode extension exposure. So we're going to just kind of slowly pan across the plateau here. I don't know, for some reason I had to back up and do something, and I've got a couple camera glitches going on. I think what it is I adjusted the rod on the tripod to be longer, because a longer rod will give me finer control on a long, slow pan with a long lens like this. So we are just kind of looking across the canyon. That's a couple of miles away. And now we're looking at a cliff that is another couple miles farther away. But the clarity is very good. And changing the exposure, we're doing a little bit of an underexposure, which brings out the colors more. It washes things out less. And now you see the cliff above is even farther away again. So it's just really interesting how all of this canyon, I guess, was cut out by the flow of the Colorado River over many, many millions of years. So now I'm going to manually adjust the exposure, and we're going to take a close look at these cliffs. So they're slightly overexposed, but we're trying to see some details in here. So it's very interesting. You look at all these cliffs and you just kind of wonder if anybody ever actually got to those cliffs, those areas. Some of them maybe, others I just don't know how they would. It's several hundred feet of a straight down drop or a straight up climb, depending on where you were. So very, very interesting. And so we're just kind of panning up, and there is a fire watch tower, and there's a couple of antennas around it. So I think that is as far as we're going to pan with that. And this was just a formation I had noticed way across the canyon, and I wanted to take a closer look at it. So with 600 millimeters, I can do that. I can take a closer look at it. So we're going to back it out to 150, I believe. So, anyway, I thought that was kind of a interesting depression in the rock wall. Okay, now we are back to the 2470 lens, and I'm going to say something here. What do you know? Okay, there you go, guys. There is the Grand Canyon behind me. Take a look at all those colors out there. Very cool. And that important message was brought to you by me. Fortunately, I did not forget my big lens there. And so we're just going to take another look at the canyon with the 2470 lens. So it's just very interesting how time and water erosion carried all that earthen material away. So I like all the colors in the rocks. So I decided to take the audio track off of this video because there were just so many people yakking and yakking and yakking, and I just don't think that mom's yelling at Bobby to put their baseball bat down or do other things, and what sport team is going to win what this year really mattered. So it was just kind of funny listening to things. Okay, so this here is the amphitheater up at the visitors center. And so I just set the camera up on a rock there and moved it around a little bit, tried to get a nice stable platform for it. Okay, so we are back looking at some more formations. And it's just very interesting how this all this stuff formed. Okay, so there I am, trying some different exposures. What I'm doing is trying to see down into the shadows. If I brighten up the exposure, usually it washes out everything else, but you can see in the shadows what's in there. And if you look right in the center, you can see a tiny little green dot. And that was the only view of the Colorado River that I got. And with the naked eye, you could actually see a raft on the shore down there. But this lens wasn't strong enough to be able to do that. I should have put the big lens. Well, actually, I didn't have the big lens with me when I was taking these pictures. It was just too much to carry. It's 7,000 feet up here, and my body doesn't like carrying stuff and walking distances, carrying heavy objects. So I opted to leave it in the truck, but tomorrow I'll leave the small lens and just take the big lens. And I think instead of the tripod, I will bring the monopod, much lighter. So those are people on a observation platform on the rocks. So these are rocks that these are in shadows. So I have the exposure turned up, and this way I can see what is on those rocks. So I'm just kind of flipping in and out of different exposure ranges, trying to get the best one. And now I'm changing the exposure to get the canyon, which is much brighter. So if I were to show the area that I first showed you, that would be dark now. Excuse me. I did not bring the tripod with me on this either. It just kind of proved to be too heavy for me in these circumstances. So we are looking straight down from a viewing platform. Now I'm going to change the exposure. Still too bright. Other way. There we go. Now we're getting some nice colors in there. And again, you probably wouldn't get all that color in there with a program mode. Usually, if you want to get a optimal exposure, you got to go into the manual mode, and your human eye is one of the best gauges for what looks best. I like the reddishness of those rocks. And there is snow. We're going to have 13 degrees tonight while I'm editing this. You can hear the furnace blowing in the background. And then tomorrow night will be my last night here, and that will be 17 degrees. And I'm also enjoying my senior discount, half price. I bought a Ameripass or whatever, so that wherever I go for national parks and other national things, I get half price. You see these three rocks on top, or that are there. The one most to the right that's shaking around there. That one, it kind of made me think of Easter Island and the stone statue faces there. I mean, it's not a lot like it, but it's a little like it. And there's more snow. And you just look at the colorations of the rocks and the plants that are growing there. And it is just a really beautiful view. And a little more tweak to the exposure. Then we're going to change the exposure here drastically for the bright across the canyon. There you go. So that is it for this video. I will have some long lens 600mm video tomorrow to show some more finer details. Hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to click a like, leave a comment, and leave any questions. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.